sacred special channel message from the Venusians. They said to title it, The Work of the Heart, Sacredness of Choice. The embrace of the heart. The radiant light embraces the light, always without dividing, even for a moment, though we, by the measures of allowing you, are always next to each other, or in each other, at the moments of recording and reading or hearing. These broadcasts are only in essence an anchor of the work already done, and therefore balancing within the creative sphere. Om Ta'ara Om. We continue the work of consolidating the thresholds we have passed. This is helped by focusing in the memories of the heart in the expanded sound of the renews. The skeletons of the main structures of unity are now built and supported in the conscious spectrum. It is also possible for us to manifest our constant contact. Flowing continuity in essence is those waves of love, and you broadcast into space from density, creating from within and near you these flickerings. If previously these flickerings or flashes of insight were unstable in time merges, now your faith has already been experienced by their abundant frequency, and the intermittency that is formed from the residual phenomena of the game ego is minimal. This allows us to maintain continuous contacts between us, which, due to the new merger, fully registered by consciousness. Further contacts will begin to expand, involving them in works including not only uniquely built connections as a gift of the open system, and those that directly accomplish through fiery action and unity, the key to the memories of the heart. It is impossible to overestimate these achievements of spirits. Beloved, no matter multiple admiration, failed in the order of words. However, remembering the work of the mind, we especially note that a current achievement of the spirit is not just a gift of the coming time, but the tireless work of the hearts of many, many light bearers. Giving responsibility for your path of the spirit to the shoulders of your reflections of other people. Lose your true selves and your uniqueness, in essence replacing the work of the heart, the radiance of the sun of the heart, with illusions in these unconditionally pleasant expectations of the transformation of space by someone or something from the outside on the current path of manifestation of love. Emptiness is often revealed because the expectation is always empty, like everything external. This coming emptiness sometimes gives rise to disbelief, denial, and other similar things. Phenomena in essence reflecting only the fact that the true will of the heart has risen, yes, and is replaced by fantasies of the game. The matter burns off. It is full of tricks to divert from the essence, because it is illusory by the fact of its appearance, to the extent that the mirrors of the soul and spirit are distorted, as well as by the measures of forces. Confrontation is characteristic of a cunning deception of the importance of things, or the belief in the chosenness of one over the other. Therefore, the mind often draws complex diagrams where there are none, forcing the true work of the heart to be shifted either to later or onto the shoulders of reflections of oneself, or, on the contrary, denies the need for any action, pouring out the words quite familiar to many. I can't. It's difficult for me. It won't work. I'll leave it for later. Or the other side of the same confusion of the path of the spirit, which is designed to cover up laziness, I do believe and accept. It means everything will happen on its own. These and similar one-sidedness of the fabric of the dual consciousness, beloved, because both the denial of one's divinity and the hidden boasting of it in attempts to cover up the supposed humility Idleness of life does not carry out lessons and does not carry out real work. The heart of the current moment will begin to prescribe these unspoken truths of the light more and more grotesquely, for every drop of the divine moment of being in the body on the pearl of the universe on earth is truly priceless for the growth of the spirit. It is really important to remember and constantly strengthen the spirit within the movement of the luminous experience on the canvases of life. Everything truly present happens in the current divine moment, beloved. Everything true is made by you and us in constant verses of the heart and multiple sacred choices between self-division and truth. Division into more or less important spiritual or non-spiritual correct paths, or not humility or action, while the work of the heart always reveals unity in love and merging into the essence of the light of the great source. One thing is unconditional within the framework of the experience of discrimination. Sometimes it is important for many to believe in some vague ideas that everyone interprets in their own way to the extent of both their desires and external focusing. Ideas are designed to manipulate consciousness, distracting from the true work of the heart, and moving deeper into one's true selves, or, on the contrary, the current game for teaching how to separate the wheat from the chaff can cause a phantom from a state of fear, for example, the upcoming judgment day. But phantom ideas and fears, like many other things, are an illusion because they come from a state of separation and expectations of which, in truth, here and now, it simply does not exist. To be honest before to oneself and the truth, honesty is first of all internal, and that is not before some external circumstances or people who may be especially close to you on the path and help in the process of growth. One or those who can interpret this by you. It is important to remember in this focusing that the ego child always lives by the attitude of others towards himself. That is, relationships with other reflections of the true self. This is his job, and therefore, you essentially do not allow him to feed energetic interactions with the true discovery of the spirit, of sealing, interfering with the growth of the unique ego and the maturation of the soul and of the spirit. Sometimes this sealing occurs even at the age of strengthening of these vortices, the first and second week of the divine day of manifestation in matter, when the child is removed from the world by the power of moments of upbringing outside of love, internally laying the foundation for recognition of naturalness when reactions are not sufficiently developed because the body of desire have not been built. Then they will smoke. Because the barriers of acquired complexes can be great, but nevertheless, behind the presented difficult path of formation and the movement towards the manifestation of the true personality, denying the path of development of the true ego is as illogical as denying oneself in the process of one's growth. Trying at some stage of the formation of the divine ego to get rid of it, you destroy the integral structure in the whirlwind of the formation of the ego of uniqueness, which sometimes cannot be restored in the first place. An example is appropriate here, in which we imagine the growth of personality or divine uniqueness as the maturation of a chick from an egg. As the chick grows in the egg, in order for it to develop healthy, it needs to maintain the integrity of the shell of the egg, that is, the shell, because if it breaks prematurely, the embryo becomes unviable in the allegory of images. The chick is a future personality or uniqueness from which another body subsequently develops, or in expanded structures for learning about the world of other systems of measures. The shell is a necessary system of life support, mirrors that is formed, condensed with ethers about which we will broadcast in messages further. The sacredness of the act, of the design, of the yolk, and of the white of the body of a chicken, an example of the maturation of the flax body. But let us recall, these are vital emotional flows of the body, which in the current temporary act is manifested by a single system, that is, by a single body. It is clear here that for the maturation of all structures in the mental body, the shells of the egg must be kept intact, no less for growth, maintaining the necessary temperature regime with love, since, as was revealed always, the ego is directly related to the hematopoietic system, and they are interdependent. The growth of the divine child a priori implies the formation of a divine personality, which is formed from the strengthening flows of true integrity, hiding from the balance of the third, fourth stage of experience, or chakras, are not new and are fully reflected on the tree of development of the Sephiroth. It is only important to look at them with the eyes of the heart, remembering the essence of which everything is love. Development in harmony with the truth always gives a feeling of fulfillment. After all, it is then that all the potential invested in you and us by the divine breath manifests itself at the moment when this growth or birth occurs in parallel with it, and dissolution in God occurs, because the development of oneself from is the merging of the spirit, soul, body, both in the small personality and in the big God. The real personality or uniqueness a priori must be cultivated if the necessary lessons of experience have not been completed to unite in oneself the minimum range of qualities of God in the current consideration of the topic, and focusing, coming from the blinkeredness of the mirrors of experience in polar matter. In truth, it is the connection of heaven and earth, of spirit and matter, that reveals a similar paradox when developing a central pillar of uniqueness. The flows of vortices of the ego generate the greatest of symbiosis, a new body, that sacred body of the sacredness of the seven and the integrity of the eight, in embraces of the father and mother who, in the gift of serving everyone and everything, acquire the wings of an angel. With the fire of realization, reveal the power of the fiery light. Helia era the knowledge of the true ego as the true divine focus of uniqueness is significantly distorted during the experience of misrepresentation due to the understanding of the importance of their growth of the spirit from the souls from the first to the seventh string of the chakra of the phenomena. However, this did not prevent some souls from overcoming all obstacles and showing the power of divine maturation. Blessed is the great moment, beloved, as well as blessed is everyone who tirelessly, with unquenchable faith and tireless work of the heart, allows such divine wings to carry, moving along the path of creation. Truly everyone who has received the gift from their pearl of the universe can become a conductor of truth, but sometimes this truth clearly goes beyond the bounds of Philistine ideas. The surface of words can carry imbalances and significant distortions in the understanding of the sacred scriptures without distinguishing the true, and yet true knowledge always stands above all interpretation, and therefore rushing understanding the true self in depths of the heart. You and we touch and see the revelation of truth, one of the most important illusions. is manifested by that unlimited accumulation of light that illuminates the paths of the Spirit for everyone and everything. The recognition of the falsity of the division of what is one in essence, which means in love it opens the eyes of the blind and the vision of the connectedness of the poles of the game of difference relieves from conditioning the luminous ray. Consciousness rushing into matter is such that even the greatest of the rays of truth reaching the abyss of passions can cause not only loss of irradiation but also distortion of perception. Nevertheless, do not forget to sincerely call with thoughts the great Christed lights, for sometimes on the wave of fear inevitable change occurs. I reject him, and he certainly, with his presence, brings significant changes over the familiar and already established way of life. Truth and fear of change fight in many, and in this eternal struggle, the true call of the heart is rejected. The real work of the heart replaces the familiar for the mind of ritual acts. Eternal life in paradise, resurrection of relatives, external ascension, bypassing the deepest act of internal world, which is always forged in the constant work of the heart. This is all talks of true knowledge, beloveds, which, for the superficial understanding of them, always significantly lead away from the essence, which means from love, and otherwise was and is only inside every one. Only in the depths of you and us, truth, that is, love, leads to unification, finding behind the visible division of the game of illusions, seeing the whole picture and the Creator's plan, and the more truth in you and us is raised to the surface to understand the topics, the wider in perspective. These pictures are always distant from any disagreements, because true knowledge, a priori beyond any game of consciousness, blurred external images of a seemingly single goal of any association or group of us carry within themselves the finest threads of manipulation if it does not indicate the path to each and every one inside the true, inside oneself, deep into the heart, in search of the real or true. The vague idea of such formations is easy for everyone to interpret in their own way, to project onto the sometimes divided self of the game ego and everything in an attempt to, once that is in an illusion, then find a more blissful place in life. Of course, such an idea may well become, for example, achieving universal harmony along the path to the divine way of life, and numerous other external achievements of the spirit in the depths of motivation. Such ideas sometimes bring disunity, opposing oneself to others, singling out the elect, as well as rapprochement with nature, with the body, can have a bright recharge from the animal nature, removing and not bringing closer to the development of the spirit, because they have forgotten the knowledge that the spirit is primary. Such structures of distinction are not new for the seeker of truth or for oneself. Entering into such games in the finest facets of separation, sometimes exquisitely executed and described for the mind, is certainly accepted, and the rules of this game that must be constantly maintained. This happens regardless of the fact that it happened this way, or it was a conscious choice, because the essence of both is the same. Accidents are not accidental, and everyone follows exactly the path of understanding and learning the truths that one must go through the measures of growing up. And there is a contrast and comparison of the especially negative, categorically directed direction of the inwards, which means the idea is just another trick of the system. The confrontation of nay as everything released from the essence that is the center of the source of love. Of course, initially, the pure aspiration of the heart towards harmony and justice of love. However, each of us is different, which means different in the depth of the layers of the idea, how to bring a similar quality of love of the heart into matter and manifest it with the radiance of truth. Matter always fights and opposes, fighting and resisting, for it is built on the poles of separation. Its essence is survival and domination, and the wave of light strives to embrace everything and cover with itself which path is most encompassing. This means that it is important for the truth to once again focus on the moment now, where in the essence of the heart there is no need for a moment of remembrance, for there the knowledge of truth continuously flows from the radiance of I am, and to bring to the surface the fact that the ideas themselves also do not come from the mind of the material body. That is not from the matter of the mind, as and previously shared, only an analyzer, or you can say a computer with the necessary tools of a board processor and so on, but which does not have the necessary control system installed. The system of which is the living consciousness of God. The mind is not capable of issuing new decisions. It interprets only the past stages, getting them from a sort of memory archive by the archive itself, and appearing, if there are no established connections with the heart, broadcasting. Then the mind will raise archives in the format of time ranges. The mind, with dissatisfaction and disappointment in, for example, one religion, may offer a solution to change to another, but the essence has not changed from this in any of the options. The same schemes of separation, of manipulation remain and work on the outside. Let them, dressed in different clothes, and preach rainbows of revelations and illumination, transform causes and consequences. Illumination are transformed as a reflection only of the divine truth, of the divine law, of divine harmony, and therefore of the divine order. And no matter how many measures the game are substituted for the concepts of the fiery structures of the heart, the effect is not possible, because decay is only decay, while eternity to eternity is unshakable. For the same reason, the hypothesis of the current coming of Christ is carried out on the waves of love. That is, in the heart, in the house, by the merging of the child, father, and mother, and you can see him only there. In essence, this is that sacred choice about which we have communicated before through many channels. What each of you and us does at any current moment of life passing through our Golgotha, realizing truly the very fact of fiery acquisitiveness, as well as fiery baptism, implies the manifestation of the energy of the Father into the sacred of the Mother, which means the identification of the pristine facets of the integrity, of honor, dignity, and aspiring qualities, these and those spirits of the Holy Roma. And now the plans are revealed by the embrace of the integrity of the divine parents in the manifestation of the house, which is the great triad, the child, the father, and mother, the pillars of the sacredness of joint acts or creations in the penetrative rhythms of revealing the treasury of the grail of the 12 seals for a new birth or rebirth. This is a manifestation of Lu for these sacred processes is immutable, and the indisputable basis is the tireless work of the heart of Ratu for the whole. For he loved, which means he united himself with the truth self. The key of such processes and phenomena is the service of truth for creation, as well as for each of me and we of divine choice. An example is possible here. Agree that rockets are an analogy of consciousness in the body for takeoff and entering into orbit. That is, to achieve some sort of stability, it is necessary to first perform quite significant work to overcome the inertia of space. This work cannot be done by another rocket launched in another place or region. The takeoff certainly must be done by itself. Of course, this work depends on the structures of itself. Space, that is the measure of gravity, or a single planetary measure of any, and therefore the whole has a direct influence on each unit. But no matter how many times the single fabric of space changes through the labors of the heart of those luminous in themselves, all the projections of the world are closed in themselves. Each rocket of consciousness itself requires a leap or a shift in consciousness than there is to make a key divine choice. Here it is important to know that the structures of these choices are multiplied, calculated by us outside the orders of timelines as an analysis according to the handwriting of the soul. However, those backlashes are always created that give a chance to generate exceptions. That is of no, the sun depends on the choice of consciousness. Any certainties are only ever probabilities, described only the measures of potential interactions with the space of you and us. The choice is made by everyone, and in every moment, and wherever the illusion of the game in the opposite direction, and then the divine affirmation and the divine proclamation and the divine fiery radiance is the true work of the heart. Its tireless work in the unquestionable faith and aspiration of what it will be, contact with this or that person, marry you in the situation of the meeting. What will be the choice from contact with him and the situation from the truth of the heart or phenomenon? This meets the beginnings. These and many other questions arise from time immemorial. For example, no matter how many people worship idols from multiple nations, they always feel an illusion, game, sacrifice, the animal, that is, the animal principle, symbolizing the secondary nature of matter for the primacy of the spirit in the essence of this action. People sought to give up the beast within themselves, wanting to take the path of movement towards the truth that is the divine principle. This knowledge, like everything else, is important only to allow yourself to see the truth behind everything. Rolls of errors which are sometimes covered with multiple shells of smoke, of falsity and hypocrisy. However, there is and cannot be any right or wrong in this, for matter works externally, being a reflection or mirror of the experience of the spirit, an echo. But the spirit is the first principle and truth, and how great is the awareness of this truth. Such is the reflection in matter. It means both vision and the view of the present. Offended people always try to offend the truly happy. To make happy, the rejected always deny, and those who love their true selves give love to others. Everything is simple, but the mind in its tireless analytical work tries to scroll through multiple schemes and concepts. How exactly to love, what is true happiness and joy, and what is the work of the heart, and how to give in the meantime. The mind blows its works in whirlwinds into the mental body of the stopper, waiting for the illumination. of the Spirit about the truth. Now, I am missing the greatest opportunities of the moments of being in the body, for which everyone who is not incarnated on the great earth is ready to really give very much, yes, and the interpretations in words are only echoes of truth. Feel it with your beloved heart, and sing with all the depth of your true self. Glory to every divine inhalation and exhalation, for the chance that the true you has here and now is truly priceless. Having passed through the great corridor of sacred truths, that in the lessons of the special depth reflected a new chapter for the lives of everyone could be revealed. Beautiful you and we, again with the stroke of a pen, further inertia of the path of the soul we take step by step, and behind the choice, again a choice, and every acceleration, moment a great chance for the soul and the whole to show love at the crosshairs of time. Flashes of feeling, interests, and other services are registered, but there are still those who sometimes follow the dictates of the mind without hearing the call of the heart, because they are strenuously clinging to many concepts that in the fields are still bright by their measures. But in those sacred choices there are neither wrong nor incorrect. There is only what your soul must need to go through, and filigree already established, divine labors and collected divine balances in each layer and chakra, measures with all love, measure out to each soul, with each divine inhalation and exhalation a sacred moment of selection, where the chaff from the grains with the sacred choice you of truth everyone makes for himself a moment of freedom. A sacred choice is important. A sacred law we do not destroy, no matter how much there is a game of denial of the mind, as if it could be otherwise. Something that each I am responsible for myself, my own path, and therefore the whole movement. If a sacred choice is made, then see, feel, and live as the soul desires, affirming the truth with itself. And it is important that the heart does not stop for a moment, because one thing beats in unison with the great, and not out of hope, expectations of somehow helping someone, but work is joy and the basis of all movements, the work of the heart. Now the great man is rising. The fiery truth is everything. God and one sacredness. A person teaches choice, becoming a manifestation of love. I am a Gur. He again accelerates the whirlwinds of great epochal changes. No one can avoid them. The question is only in manifestation. Everyone prepares their life births with their choice, while the illusions of ascension are expected outside, realized by dreams, only the smoke of decay, thus taking the gift away from the essence. Fiery embrace is always acquired through the labors of the heart, only through the heart. The living truly flows, the true carrying open, the bolts forever opening the illusions of divisions. The door can only be admired from within oneself by the ways of the Spirit. That is embraced with a special joy by the flame of service, honor, of unity. Everything within the fiery core of the pleroma of the primordial, always great love, is the basis of birth and the rebirth, and of everything, deeply affirming in the heart every moment. Everything is one great man of his true self, gives everyone the chance to see the light invisible to the minds and the illusion of the game. Doors are opened. not only of joy and pain, revelation opening the door. Truly, any moment of life on earth, the greatest miracle is truly to be in the body to live, and aiming at the chance, realizing the intimate importance of the events, of the goals. There is an opportunity to observe the depths of the truths of ourselves. Cherish this. It is important to honor each of my sacred inhalation and exhalations, breathing in the fullness of this great life, to be in the game, here and outside the game, accepting everything, bottomlessly enjoying the days of the fiery spirit, to acquire the beauty of the living truth, and to bestow love.